Good evening and welcome to tonight's City Council. We're going to begin with prayer and pledge with Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to live in a land in which we have a voice, in which we can deliberate and agree to disagree. We thank you that our home is safe. We thank you for the city of Saginaw and for our staff. We ask your blessing in particular upon our safety personnel. And we ask you to be with all of our school children who have returned, as well as the upperclassmen and the area college students. We ask you to be with all of us, and we thank you in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we start, I remind the audience to, number one, please turn off your cell phones or turn them down so that they do not interfere with our council proceedings as we go along. And just remember our being polite and listening to each of the speakers and giving them a chance to speak. So with that, Madam Clerk, we have roll call.
Yes, Mayor. Councilman Fitzpatrick. Here. Councilman Tibbs. Councilwoman Bench is absent. Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill is absent. Councilman Caloris. Present. Councilwoman Moore. Present. Councilman Balls. Present. Councilman Clark. Present. Mayor Browning. Present. We have 7 members present and 2 absent. And Mayor, that takes you to the announcements.
Okay.
I don't have any special announcements this evening, but we do have 3 different proclamations tonight. Very good. And your first proclamation is to the Rotary Club of Saginaw, recognizing 100 years of service and commitment to the city of Saginaw.
And we have representatives from the Rotary Club here now. Is that correct, Mr. Santos? And anyone else from the Rotary Club? I'd like to have you, all of you come up. If you're a member of that Rotary Club, you certainly need to be recognized. Most of Mr. Santos? Yeah, thank you. Right by the speaker. Right there, because we had a wonderful occasion happen this afternoon at the Dow Event Center. And we had an unveiling of a beautiful mineral donated by the Rotary Club. And our Lieutenant Governor was here and spoke, and when you get a chance, you just have to see this because it is just it's history of the city and the county put into a 30-foot mural, and it's just gorgeous. We have a proclamation, though, because you are also celebrating a wonderful occasion, and that occasion is the Rotary Club is celebrating its 100th anniversary. So I'd like to read this proclamation. Whereas the Rotary Club of Saginaw was chartered in 1914 by local businesses and professional leaders as one of Saginaw's first service organizations. The Rotary Club of Saginaw was the 93rd club founded among approximately 34,500 Rotary clubs around the world today. And whereas the Rotary Club of Saginaw began as a place where professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful, lifelong friendships. From that day until now, the goal of the Rotary Club of Saginaw has always been to provide community and humanitarian service encouraged by ethical standards in all vocations and help to build peace and goodwill throughout the world. And whereas the Rotary Club of Saginaw has played a key role in shaping the history of our city, Among the many accomplishments of the Rotary Club of Saginaw are overseeing the citywide organization of the Boy Scouts in 1919, combining 3 separate library systems to form the Public Libraries of Saginaw in 1920, building the first Chamber of Commerce building, and organizing the Saginaw Welfare League in 1919, which is known now as the United Way. And whereas in 1925, the Rotary Club of Saginaw purchased BB Lake and the surrounding property located in Clare County. This property, which consists of over 1,000 acres of land and a 30-acre spring-fed lake, is now leased to the Boy Scouts and is known today as Camp Rotary. And whereas the Rotary Club of Saginaw has had humanitarian projects in Japan, South Korea, Brazil, India, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, a sister club relationship exists with the Tokushima West Japan Rotary Club. As a token of friendship to our sister city, Tokushima Rotary Saginaw participated in the building and funding of the exquisite gazebo located at Saginaw Japanese Tea House. And whereas the Rotary Club of Saginaw is also responsible for several vocational and academic scholarships for local youth and the Rotary Exchange Program to help train the leaders of tomorrow to be active builders for a more peaceful world. And whereas to commemorate its centennial anniversary, the Rotary Club of Saginaw has commissioned a 30-foot mural depicting the history of Saginaw that was unveiled today and displays at a permanent place in the atrium of the Dow Event Center. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Dennis D. Browning, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, on behalf of my fellow council members, do by hereby pay tribute to the Rotary Club of Saginaw for 100 years of service and accomplishments in the Saginaw community. We celebrate the impact the Rotary Club of Saginaw has made in the city and express our sincere gratitude to all local Rotarians for the example they set in carrying out the true spirit of the Rotary motto, serve above self. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of Saginaw to be affixed this 6th day of October in the year of our Lord 2014. Signed, Dennis D. Browning, Mayor, Amos O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Michael D. Ball, Annie Bench, Laurie Caloris, Daniel Fitzpatrick, Floyd Clark, Brenda F. Moore, and Damon L. Tibbs, Timothy Morales, City Manager. Congratulations. Would you step up front, receive this, and we'd like to shake your hands. Please, come up. Ken, I want to offer you to please say a few words, please.
Well, I'd like to express my appreciation of the City Council, and I'd like to express our appreciation to all of the citizens of Saginaw for allowing us to serve you for 100 years, and we promise you that we're going to be here for the next 100 years as well to serve you then. Thank you very much. Not you. No.
Thank you. And I will add to that, what a beautiful ceremony at the event center in the Red Room there. That was a beautiful, very well done program, and what a professional mural. And that will be there for many, many years, depicting the history of our community. Madam Clerk, we're now at proclamation,
Yes,
right?
we have another proclamation to the Saginaw Fire Department designating October 5th through the 11th, 2014 as Fire Prevention Week.
And I think we're honored to have Fire Marshal Ralph Martin here.
I go through all of them.
Ralph, I'm not sure how many these proclamations you've accumulated over the years. Quite a few, and each one, you betcha. Let me read the proclamation here that we have for this. Proclamation, whereas the City of Saginaw is committed to ensuring the safety and the security of all those living in and visiting our cities. Members of the Saginaw Fire Department are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, homes are the location where people are at the greatest risk for a fire. According to the National Fire Protection Association, home fires killed more than 2,700 people in the United States in 2013. And fire departments in the United States respond to 369,500 home fires. And whereas 3 out of 5 home fire deaths result from fires in properties without working smoke alarms. Statistics show that working smoke alarms cut the risk of death in a home fires by 50%. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association has established Fire Prevention Week to create greater awareness and innovation in fire protection and prevention. As a result of countless lives have been saved each year. And whereas the 2014 Fire Prevention Week theme, Working Smoke Alarms Saved Lives, test yours every month, effectively serves to remind all of the importance of installing smoke alarms throughout our homes and testing these devices every month. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Dennis D. Browning, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, do hereby proclaim the week of October 5th through the 11th, 2014 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the City of Saginaw, and I urge all residents of the city to protect their homes and families by heeding the important safety message of Fire Prevention Week 2014 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the City of Saginaw Fire Department. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Saginaw to be fixed this 6th day of October in the year of our Lord 2014. Signed, Dennis D. Browning, Mayor. Amos O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem. Council members Michael D. Ball, Annie Bench, Larry Caloris, Daniel Fitzpatrick, Floyd Clark, Brenda F. Moore, and Damon L. Tibbs. Timothy Morales, City Manager. Mr. Rhodes, you want to come forward?
Just a few words real quick. Yes.
Extra smoke detectors?
Yes, we do, Mayor.
And how
do
many
have
may
it.
that be?
And it's hard to believe that anyone in the city of Saginaw would be without a smoke detector at this time. Economically and just for their own livelihood, it makes no sense not to have any working smoke detectors in your structure, especially when you have wonderful hero firefighters coming out to your home to be able to install them for you free of charge. And we have 10-year lithium batteries, whereas you don't have to worry about purchasing another battery for another 10 years. I mean, how can you beat that? But just to speak on that, Mayor and Council and City Manager, this program with the smoke detectors that we do have has really made a big impact on a lot of the citizens of Saginaw. We've been getting so much good feedback from citizens who we have serviced, saying how they were just impressed with the firefighters coming to their home, installing these smoke detectors. I would encourage for those that I'm sure most may be listening may have already taken this service and already taken advantage of this service. I urge you, I challenge you to tell your friends and loved ones and family members who do not have working smoke detectors to call us and make sure that we come out and service them also. No one should be without a working smoke detector in the city of Saginaw. I'm hearing stories where young people seeing that firefighter in their bedroom installing that smoke detector, just having such a positive impact. And even with the firefighters, I'm hearing stories from firefighters who's telling so many good stories how they're being impacted in a positive way by going out and engaging these public. So citizens of Saginaw, if you don't have smoke detectors, please give us a call. We'll come out quickly and promptly and install them free. And if you already have them, please encourage your friends and loved ones to have theirs installed also.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Mayor, your third proclamation this evening is to the mission in the city, recognizing their accomplishments and commitments to the city of Saginaw.
And for this proclamation, I've asked Councilwoman Brenda Moore to read this proclamation and present it to our guests.
Good afternoon.
Proclamation. Whereas on behalf of Saginaw City Council, it is my privilege to extend this proclamation to Mission in the City in honor of their dedication and commitment to the city of Saginaw and its residents, restoring stability to an at-risk neighborhood and community. Whereas Mission in the City is a faith-based community development organization created to make Saginaw a better place to live by offering hope and ministering to the suffering. And whereas Mission in the City has been an instrument in restoring strength and stability in Saginaw through their impact of progressive programs and uplifting changes that bring hope to adults and youth in our city. And whereas Mission in the City has created a community program to help families, adults, youth, and children find a life-changing balance. These programs include a 12-step Bible-based community recovery program, family life health clinic, a community garden, sports and fitness park, and a summer youth camp. And whereas we commend Mission in the City and their vision to make life better for the people in Saginaw County, the positive impact in restoring efforts that the Mission in the City have made in our community are greatly appreciated. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Dennis D. Brownie, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, hereby urge all citizens of Saginaw to recognize and honor the commitment, the comment and commitment of the outstanding contributions that Mission in the City has made to the city of Saginaw. We extend our deepest appreciation, gratitude for the efforts and the mission to restore our community, one person, one block at a time. And witness whereas I, Dennis D. Brownie, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, have hereby set my hand and created the seal of Saginaw to affix this 6th day of October, 2000, in the year of our Lord. Dennis D. Browning, Mayor. Councilpersons Amos O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem, Michael D. Balls, Annie Bench, Larry Calores, Dan Fitzpatrick, Floyd Clark, Brenda F. Moore, and DeMond L. Tibbs, and Tim Morales, City Manager. Can you step forward, please?
For the audience and the rest of you, would you introduce yourself for us, please? Oh, would you introduce yourself for us, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Vera Jones, and I have been a member of New Life for 29 years. I work close with Pastor Bradley, and I would like to thank the City of Saginaw for recognizing the Mission in the City program that we do at New Life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Madam
Mayor,
Clerk?
your next order of business is public hearings.
And before we start a public hearing tonight, I'd like to remind you that the purpose of a public hearing is for the public to address council as a whole and for council to receive comments for consideration at the time action may be taken. Public comment shall not be addressed to individual council members, city staff, or the audience. Speakers must limit their remarks to the subject of the hearing. Begin by stating your name. The applicant or the main presenter or designated representative may be allowed 15 minutes. Other speakers will be limited to 5. Speakers may ask general questions, but shall not ask questions of specific council members. Madam Clerk, what's our
This evening is on the urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township to provide building inspection, planning, and zoning services.
Is there anyone here? Thank you, sir. Thank you, John.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is John Stemple. I'm the Chief Inspector for the City of Saginaw. Here tonight, as I was about 12 months ago, to discuss an urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township. The last agreement was more or less a trial period with the township. They wanted to see what they were getting, how this would work. I can say that they are well pleased from their leadership all the way down to their residents and the services that we have provided them over the last 12 months. The work that we've provided was very minimal. It involved the issuance of 22 permits over the construction disciplines, building, plumbing, mechanical, and electrical, which breaks down to, if you divide that amongst 4 employees, maybe 6 inspections for a period of 12 months. So it's a very small amount of work. Does not really impact the services that we provide to the residents of Saginaw. This collaboration has resulted in a reduction in costs for the township and the burden to the township to provide these services in a professional manner. They had previously had part-time inspectors that had full-time jobs elsewhere, and it was difficult for inspections to occur at the convenience of the customer. So that's one thing that's improved for them. They now have a full-time inspection staff that they can rely on 5 days a week from the same business hours that we have. The thing for us is it provides us additional revenue to support our operations in the city. If you'll notice from the communication, the fee that we charged them was reduced from $11,000 to $8,250, I believe. That's because of the amount of work that we discovered that really didn't justify $11,000 for that fee. And we were certainly willing to negotiate that with them, and it also resulted in a 3-year contract versus a 12-month contract, which it extends the reliability of that revenue. The collaboration has also resulted in blight removal in the township. They were one of the townships abutting our city that participated in the TARP grant. There were 6 blighted structures in the township that were removed as a result of the collaboration. It's also provided us with an increase in in education of the resources and amenities the township has for the region as a whole. One of the things I learned right off the bat is they have a national wildlife refuge that you can drive your car through. It's 6 miles long. It's pretty neat. If you ever get a chance to do that, me and my wife drove through there, and it was a really good time, and it was free. There's birds out there that I didn't know existed in Michigan, so it's really a neat thing to check out. It's really resulted in a win-win for the city and the township, and I certainly would like your support in approving this agreement. Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak on the urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township? A third and last time, is there anyone else to speak on the urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township to provide building inspections, planning, and zoning services? Being none, ask for a motion to close the hearing. It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, our next item of business are personal appearances.
And before we do personal appearances, just a reminder, for personal appearances, you had to sign up by 1 o'clock today to address council. The purpose of a personal appearance is to address council. Speaker shall address their remarks to the council as a whole. And you have a 3-minute limit on that. And so with that, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, ma'am. First speaker is Johnny Sanders.
Good evening, sister and brother. I stay at 34 Queen Grant. I'm down here to talk about an insurance company that don't want to pay me off of my house. People broke in, stole stuff out of the wall, stole stuff out of the base. And they tell me they don't want to pay. Why don't you pay? I pay my insurance. They tell me, why don't you want to pay? Now, you talking about the thing that happened to my car, and they said they're not going to pay for it. I had to pay $380 to get it fit. I'm not going to do that. I'll sue before I do that. Because it ain't fair to nobody. You got to have insurance. Without insurance, you wouldn't be driving. Police wouldn't be getting you no ticket. So why you want to do me out there? Thank you.
Appearance is Keith Dugan. Keith Dugan? No. Next we have Thomas Mudd.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, city manager. In 1837, a mill was built here on the very same site where we're meeting tonight. And this is the site of the first settlement on the east side of the river, again, right where we're meeting tonight. In 1837, there was also an economic crisis, which meant that the mill wasn't used for a while. And then in 1846, Curtis Emerson, the most colorful, the most dramatic, the most outrageous, and the most peculiar pioneer in Saginaw history, he got control of the mill, improved the mill, and it became the first real large mill along the Saginaw River. There was a boarding house, there was a blacksmith shop, 3 homes, and the home of Curtis Emerson was right across the street where Jack Nash has his dental office. So this is a very important place where we're meeting tonight. Curtis Emerson, being one of our main pioneers, at Brady Hill Cemetery, all that you see, or you did see before, was a broken off headstone that you couldn't read. The Saginaw Valley Historic Preservation Society had already done 2 I would say, resurrecting the memory of pioneers at Brady Hill Cemetery for Norman Little, who founded both Saginaws, and also for Uncle Harvey Williams, who built the first 2 mills on the Saginaw River. We thought we would do the same for Curtis Emerson. So our group, with the aid of the Saginaw Community Foundation, which made a very generous grant, and along with the Saginaw Culture Club, the Saginaw Mackinac Trail Questers, and the Saginaw County Hall of Fame, as well as our group, we funded $1,700 for a granite bench overlooking the broken headstone of Curtis Emerson at Brady Hill Cemetery. And on that, of course, is inscribed the best pal that Curtis Emerson had through life. He never married, but his best pal was his dog, Caesar, who had about the same personality as Curtis Emerson did. So on October 15th, starting at 5:30, we're going to assemble at Brady Hill Cemetery. At 5:45, Reverend Todd Farley from First Congregational Church will say a prayer. There will be a short biographical sketch of Curtis Emerson. The ceremony will only take 10 or 15 minutes, but I'm hoping that somebody from the city of Saginaw can be a representative there. I do know that Buena Vista is going to be represented because Curtis Emerson was the founder of Buena Vista. Again, he was our first settler on the east side of the Saginaw River right here. So I'll be looking forward to having some city official there on October 15th at 5:30 at Brady Hill Cemetery. Thank you.
Next we have William Schmidt, Jack Halfman.
Mayor Brownings, City Council members, Manager Morales, and other management staff. I'm William Schmidt, President of the Saginaw Landlords Association, and with me is Jack Adams, our Treasurer of the Saginaw Landlords Association. We take this opportunity to address the City Council and indicate to you on behalf of the Saginaw Landlords Association our support for the renewal of the safety millage. Obviously, being major owner, for all landlords, the safety in Saginaw is of great importance to us, not only for the safety of our tenants, but also for our investments. And obviously, to that end, we have pledged a monetary value to the committee itself, and also supplied with some lists of properties for which you can place signs that would be beneficial for the passage of this millage. To that end, obviously, we pledge our support.
Mm-hmm. And we certainly hope that this can be the beginning of new cooperation between our group and the city.
Very good, and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next on our list, we have Ray Costello, Jan Cook,
Good evening, Mayor Browning, members of the council, and City Manager Tim Morales. I'm Jan Cook, and I'm president of the Northwest Neighborhood Association. I am also chairman of the Arson Watch Committee for the City of Saginaw, and it's made up of members of many of our neighborhood associations. There's 14 altogether in the city. Several of those have got representatives on our committee. The Arson Watch, I have a sheet for you also showing you about Saginaw Arson Watch, our updated thing about the information about it. When you get a chance to look at that, that would be wonderful. It'll be Thursday, October 30th, from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And this year we're doing 2 days because Halloween is a Friday, so we decided to expand it. So we will do it also on Friday night from 9 until 2 a.m. The children will be out trick-or-treating from 6 to 8, so we'll wait until that's over. Volunteers are still needed, of course, and anybody that wants to volunteer can contact me. The Saginaw Community Foundation, under the leadership of Renee Johnson, generously donated their fee and set up a special account for donations that are made to Arson Watch. And anybody that wants to donate for the cause can write their check out to Saginaw Community Foundation and to Arson Watch. We are accepting donations for T-shirts, much like the one I have on, the gas cards for the volunteers who are patrolling, lights, and we're also doing incentive gifts for the young people that obey the curfew and get off the streets by 10. We tried this one other time and it went over pretty well, so we're gonna try it. What we do is they're gonna sign a piece of paper stating their name and address and phone number, and one of the policemen will drive. When they draw their name and address, they will drive there, and if they themselves come out of the house, it means they're really home, they're given a prize. So we're gonna try this and see what we can do. What we're gonna do is try to do it on 2 nights. We also had a company give us 2 free bikes to offer as prizes also, which that's a really good item. We began meeting in August to plan for another successful year in the Arson Watch. And we've been meeting every 2 weeks. Our next meeting is this Wednesday at 1 p.m. here in the council chambers. Any of you are welcome to come and join us and see what we do. And then the night of Arson Watch, the headquarters will be at the FOP Hall on South Niagara. And both nights, that night we will be there. And the Houghton Jones Resource Center is doing on Thursday night only, and there will be food and refreshments for everybody to take a break and then go back out and patrol. Thank you.
Next on our list, we have Deborah Melkonian.
Good evening. I'm here to give the support of the neighborhood associations of the City of Saginaw to endorse the millage renewal, public safety millage renewal on November 4th. If you're not aware, but we now have 14 associations. 2 have been added recently, 1 in the downtown area and 1 also at the Coulter area. So we're up to 14. A few of the associations have not presented a vote to their residents at their meetings, so I have not heard from all of them in terms of to give their 100% support. But I do hope that at the next council meeting, we will have 100% endorsement from all associations within the city of Saginaw, which represent, I would say, about 90% of residents in the area. My goal is to try and get the rest of the city organized and have associations in those areas where they still do not exist. So with that, you have a lot of support from neighborhood associations, and we're working hard to get the word out to our residents and let them know that this millage is instrumental and important to our city. Mayor Browning, you encouraged me today when I saw you on the news to come out and speak with you all. So again, next meeting, I will have a full endorsement signed, and hopefully some of the presidents of the other associations join me and give our endorsement. Thank you.
List, we have David Opperman.
Thank you very much. Members of the council, when I called today to make my reservation to speak tonight, I understood I was to be limited to 3 hours. But I've had that corrected now, and I understand it. She probably said 3 minutes. If you'll pardon me a moment for personal pride, I would like to say, going back to the Rotary situation, that when that group was founded in 1914, among those original members were both my maternal and paternal grandfathers. So you can see I have long roots in the community, and very proud to be a Rotarian. But my purpose here tonight is to endorse my good friend and neighbor, Brian Booker, who has applied for the position of Chief of Police of the City of Saginaw. Brian and I have been neighbors for, it seems like about 20 years. I guess I didn't look it up exactly, but he's a former Saginaw County Police Chief with roots in Saginaw. He was most recently employed in Saginaw County Law Enforcement as the Chief of Police in Buena Vista Township. Said it is his dream job to come back to the Saginaw Police Department, where his police career began decades ago. And Brian was quoted as saying, "I'm from Saginaw, I'm not from any place else." Booker started as an officer at the Saginaw Police Department in 1985, rising in the ranks over 19 years to become deputy chief in 2004 for about a month, and then acting chief for 6 months following the departure of former Chief Don Pucel Jr. I can't think of a better man at this time in our city's history than Brian Booker. I think he would make a very excellent chief of police, and I would hope to have you consider him as to endorse him. Thank you very much.
Mayor, your next order of business are remarks from council.
And remind council members of the 5-minute time limit for each council member. And tonight we'll start with Councilman Tibbs.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to thank everyone present here as well as our speakers. I just want to say congrats and thank you specifically to the Rotary Club, which I'm a member of. They do care about the city. They meet every Thursday at the Saginaw Club. They have a number of city events or events in the city. Most recently, they had a membership drive at the new Martini Bar. It was a great and well-attended event. They truly do love the city, and I thank you, Rotary Club, for all you do for the city. I would like to say congrats to 1 Week, 1 Street. They opened a new park in the Saginaw area. They're doing great work over on the east side. I'd like to say congrats to the Civica. They had a well-attended Hispanic Heritage Month brunch right up the road here. Another well-organized organization that does a lot for our city. Mr. Santa, again, I want to say congrats to you and the Castle Museum and the Friends of the Hill House. They had a plan and successfully preserved a historic property in our city. They successfully passed the Hill House, and they appear to have sold it to some owners that really do care about that property. And I think that does great for our city, preserve our history as well as our culture. I'd like to thank the city attorney for providing that memo about the transitional homes. I'm sure the neighborhood association will appreciate that, and I will pass that information to them. I'd like to thank the Public Service Department for their assistance with the Run for Your Heart, 921 runners and 337 volunteers. That definitely wasn't a walk in the park. Thanks for your help on that. Just to touch base a little bit on the Explore program and the issue about diversity. It's very positive steps. I look forward to continue this conversation. It appears to be a very positive program that benefits our kids, which in turn benefits our city. I think if we take care of our kids, we create a better city for our families. And that's what's going to make Saginaw better and great, is if we provide an environment and neighborhoods for our kids. And I think this Explore program is a great step in that effort. It's a very low-cost method to plant seeds in our kids. And I think we should keep that conversation going. I would like to suggest maybe extending an invitation out to Dr. Barbara Jones, a professor at SVSU, who did her thesis on a Grow Your Own program, which he thinks could create a pipeline for our kids to our police department, our fire department, as well as city jobs. These kids will be our future leaders as well as our future employees. I think we should also send an invitation out to Great Start Collaborative. I met a representative at the farmers market the other day, and basically their purpose is to establish an educational program for our kids from 0 to 4. And as soon as we extend our hands out to our kids, the better. And I think we need to get behind that program and do what we can to support that. And I think if we invite them and let them do a presentation for our council and for the city, I think that could benefit us. Just some housekeeping. I know our police department is overworked, but Covenant Neighborhood Association, they're not too happy with our second shift police officers. As a prosecutor, I know that shift is tough. A lot of domestic violence calls, and those calls don't take 10 or 15 minutes. They take some time to work, but I just think they may need a little attention to let them know that we're working on it and we're going to do what we can to make it better. A while back, the city attorney did a memo on the local officers compensation commission. I think we may have missed the deadline as far as developing that commission for the coming year, but I think we should try to put it on our calendar for next year in order for the council to continue to be an effective body. We need to do what we can to preserve the council, and the council has been compensated the same amount since decades from now. And for us to attract talented individuals who can help the council and make council better, I think we need to probably look into that and revisit the compensation commission. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Pro Tem and Manager, for everybody out there. I too want to congratulate the Rotary Club. That was I got to get down there and see that mural. I had heard about it, and now it sounds like it's just something that needs to be seen. One of the wonders, I guess, of Saginaw, huh? That's neat to hear. Also, it's good to see my friends Tom and Evelyn Mudd, some citizens who have been involved in so many things for so many years, and Mr. Opperman also. the neat thing about history is when we know our own history and when we can speak with knowledge and certainty about the past in our own families and our own community, our own country. It makes for a more knowledgeable populace. It makes for people who take pride in their local area and want to improve it and want to invest in it. I am just thrilled to be able to speak to people like Thomas Mudd about so many facets and challenging times that the city of Saginaw has had, and as well as the country. Mr. Mudd is very, very knowledgeable on American history and particular times and places of American history, particularly the Civil War and the aftermath, as well as early history, as you heard him talk about the founders here in Saginaw. Again, from that mid-1800 time frame, which was the definitive time for us here with the logging trade, with the advent of the river travel and the railroads. It's pretty incredible to hear about. So I just want to give my plug there for that October 15th, 5:30, I'm assuming that's p.m., at Brady Hill Cemetery for Curtis Emerson. As far as for the thanks, I want to say thanks to the Landlord Association for bothering to come and to give their support for the special assessment renewal. Also to Ms. Melconian, I am just continue to be impressed with how much you get involved and how much you do to advocate for the neighborhood associations. I'm just very, very impressed. Thank you very much. Also for Ms. Cook and the Arson Watch, it's really great to hear that we're still going strong with that. It's been a number of years, and it's just fantastic what's happened. Also, I want to congratulate the Saginaw Fire Department. I have one question, because I think people get confused about it. They think, well, those free thousands and thousands of smoke detectors, those are only for people who can't afford their own? No, it's for anybody, right? Anybody, anybody, anybody. In fact, that's best, because these are the better smoke detectors, and the fire department can show you the best place in your house to put them, right? So many times, I know I do it. I buy these cheap things at local big box stores or whatever, and keep having to buy the 9-volt batteries for them, and within a year they're done. You got to replace them. These are free. You have professionals putting them in for you, and they last 10 years. Incredible. I better make that phone call. Also, Mr. Mudd reminded me that Hoyt Park will again be attempting, and will, I shouldn't say attempting, because we've done it fine the last 2 years, but this year as well, this winter, there'll be ice skating. I'm pretty sure that we will have the cooperation of the city departments necessary, that we can get down there and get the ground ready and prepare for the ice and for the events that will be hosted jointly by Pride. And that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Clark. Thank you so much.
I too want to mention the good work the public safety departments, police, fire, scenic, are doing. We received in our packet the Saginaw Police Support Service Division analysis of major crimes in the city since the first of the year in comparison to the last year, and 12 of 17 major crime units are down substantially. That's huge, and we can't say enough about it to ourselves, to our citizens, and to the public at large, including those outside the city, because too many people say they don't believe in the city, or they have bad perceptions, when here we are doing tremendous things in the city, fighting crime, fighting problems in our city. So I want to make sure that we point out that this is something that has been going on all year. It's a concerted effort by all the public safety divisions, as well as all the city staff, to work to fight the crime problem in the city, and it has been very successful, and I think that needs to be pointed out. Part of that, again, is the Saginaw Arson Watch. Last year it was significant, and this year, again, it will continue to be, so I want to thank all those involved, and it includes the neighborhood associations, but as well the scenic, police department, fire department. Without their cooperation, assistance, the Arson Watch wouldn't be possible. So again, it's a concerted effort by all our staff to do these things. I also want to point out the fire department's recent success with the IAFF Fireground Survival Course here in Saginaw. They received a congratulatory letter from the Lansing Fire Department, the captain of an International Association of Firefighters member, who praised the facilitative effort that our department did in making that Fireground Survival Course in Saginaw a success. It's huge. It's throughout the state of Michigan that will have repercussions, good repercussions, for survival of firefighters in dangerous and catastrophic situations. So we have here in town, we had a course that our firefighting department hosted and made a very good success. Again, kudos to the fire department. Rotary Club. I am not a member. I am a member of a competitive club, so to speak. We are all, however, service organizations. And Rotary certainly has a proud legacy for what it has done in Saginaw. So thank you for that. You have 100 years of service this year. I am a member of the Kiwanis Club, which has 97 years. We're approaching our 100th in a few years. So it is with a lot of pride in what you've done that I say congratulations. I want to also give a heads up to the citizens, both locally and beyond the boundaries of the city, as well as our businesses, because this may sound a little premature, but the Saginaw Area Fireworks is working on the 2015 fireworks. And it is a year-long effort. So we ask everyone to keep in mind that this is a very successful event. It brings practically 100,000 people into the city of Saginaw. That's double its population. So we're hoping that the citizens will keep in mind that this is a great event for the city. It gives great publicity to the city. It also brings people in who spend money in the city. So we hope that there will continue to be support for the fireworks between now and the next annual celebration, both from individuals and from the community and businesses in our community. So just a reminder, just because you only see it one day a year doesn't mean it only takes one day a year. It's a huge, huge endeavor, and we need everyone's help. Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Haveman, I do want to thank you very much on behalf of the Landlords Association, and to thank your fellow association members for pledging the support as you have done for the millage. It is important. The millage is extremely important. Without it, a lot of the success you've seen that I've just mentioned won't be able to continue, and we want it to continue. So we need your support, and we thank you for it. And the same goes to Deborah Melkonian and the neighborhood associations, and to all those who help and are willing to support our public safety millage. Without it, it's not possible. With that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens and the students for showing up and learning something about the city government today. And I would especially like to thank the citizens of the city of Saginaw, especially the Rotary Club and other clubs, to come here and been doing it for a long time and make this city a great place to live, work, and raise your family. I think that we can help the city out a little more, maybe by helping out the areas where we know what we need the most. We know that we need a lot of good paying jobs in the city of Saginaw. I think they got a lot that correlates with crime by not having good jobs. But I like to, notice another thing that's happened. Another reason why the crime and arson is going down is because of the federal grants that the city of Saginaw received to get rid of a lot of abandoned homes. They're making the area look a lot better. I'd like to thank the President Obama and the federal government for sending those here. Hopefully maybe we can get some of those state grants to help the city out too. They've been taking a lot of money from us, but I don't know if we've been getting that money back, to help the city out. But I think what we really need to do is have concerted efforts by all the citizens of the city of Saginaw to try your best to create some jobs. A lot of people don't have any hope. When people don't have dope, don't have hope, they have a tendency to use drugs and alcohol. And we know what happens when that happens. A lot of things spiral out of control. But we still got some hope in the city of Saginaw. We are looking up. There's beautiful things happening in downtown Saginaw, for all the citizens, and I really like seeing that. The Friday Night Live thing was just tremendous, and I like seeing what I'm seeing today, and I like to give Mr. Stemple some kudos too for the houses that's been tearing down in the city of Saginaw. A few months ago, we was complaining about them not finishing up the work, but we do see now that they are finishing it up. So I thank you, Mr. Stemple, for doing such a fine job. I hope that you take the gratuities that we give you and be thankful for those too, for doing such a fine job. So keep up the good work. I think there's a lot of things that we can do in the city of Saginaw to make this a great place. And I'm just so happy to see the citizens of the city of Saginaw stepping up to the plate to make that happen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, citizens of Saginaw. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our speakers for their contributions, our proclamation. Kudos go out to all of the groups who got acknowledged this evening. I must commend the downtown Martini Bar. I had some politicians that I took down. On tomorrow evening, I will have a room full that will be down there tomorrow. So if you haven't been down to the Martini Bar, I invite everybody to go. No, I didn't try the mayor's breakfast sandwich. We got there too late for that. Once again, there's some things going on in the city, and I really think we need to talk about and discuss, and I'm sure that we will get to that. I'm really excited about the development downtown. I was reading something, and I found out that the farmers market was disgusted because they don't have a place to go. And I'm like, they do have a place to go, don't they? They don't? But we need to find them a place, because we need to have our farmers market open year-round. If you go down to Genesee County, their farmer market is open all year long. They got a fish market in there. They got all kinds of things. So I am willing to do whatever I have to do to help them get a place. And I'm sure Mr. Stemple, I spoke to him already. I don't know where he disappeared to. Okay. And so I have spoke to him about that. And I want the city to keep growing, just to keep growing. I am never more been so impressed with the young people. I invited some young people tonight. I don't see any of them, but I'm still working on them, because I want them to know what it is to be in politics, and I want them to know how the city is actually running and what is real and what is not real. Especially with this big election coming up, I want them to know when you vote, you need to learn how to vote for the people that you need to vote for, not just people you like, but who you need to vote for. Thank you.
Councilman Flores.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back there from the Landlords Association, no idea how thankful we are for your support. And a little too generous with your contribution. And also thank you for the locations you've offered us to place signs. We'll put them up and get them down at an appropriate time. You represent a lot of property in the city, and I certainly wish that other landlords that belong to your association would probably take the professional attitude that you take and maintain their property. You get a bad rap from time to time. It's not your fault. Again, thank you very, very much for having faith, and thank you for support. This morning, out in the Freeland area, Habitat for Humanity and Consumers Power had an event celebrating the fact that they saved a lady a lot of money on her utility bills. They literally went over that house and did it from one end to another. And they've been partnering now for quite a while. They'll be finishing up in Midland County. When they get done there, they're coming back to Saginaw County. And what they've done in the past, they've collaborated with neighborhood associations when they target an area, and those associations go out, hit the bricks, talk to neighbors, and find out who it is that needs the help. In this case here, they call it Greening Your Home. Ames Methodist Church, 801 State Street. And that's Saturday, October 18th. Mark it down, it's very important. First of all, you get a chance to win a Whirlpool refrigerator, a Whirlpool stove, money, and bulbs. What Consumers Power has done with their neighbors, helping neighbors, is tremendous. If you're not aware of it, get on it. They'll come to your home, insulate it if possible, wrap your water heater, change your bulbs to efficient bulbs. They want to reduce your energy bill, which sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Here they are selling energy, and they're doing us a big favor by trying to save us money. So that's what you call a good corporate citizen. You might qualify for loans or grants. If you get a chance to show up, bring your 2013 taxes or your Social Security benefit letter, and that would help them determine your liability, your qualification. I can't say too much for what that union has done. And also, Metal Castings the other day had an open house. I think Councilman Clark was there. It's amazing what that company has done. The last time we were there was many square feet that were vacant. They're now being occupied. But there's one thing to note. This is not the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, where a junior can drop out of high school at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by noon he's got a job. This is 2014, in case anybody hasn't checked their calendar. Nobody's going to hire you if you haven't graduated from high school. That's the bare minimum. When you walk through that plant, you see the type of jobs, and really, for a foundry, that's a very clean place. It wasn't in 1952. It's a very clean place. And the jobs in there are not the run-of-the-mill jobs. So anybody that's young that's not out running around the streets right now, if you're thinking of getting a job, there's only one way to do it. Get an education. Go to school. Learn to read and write. Learn to add. Learn to measure. I don't believe I have anything else. Mr. Manager, I gave your thanks for the invitation this morning, indicated that you had other responsibilities. To both Cameron Brady and Tom Bacon. They understood. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening to everyone. Please excuse my tardiness. A little late getting out of work today to get here. For those speakers that I did get a chance to hear, thank you all for coming. And the speakers talking about the, Ms. Cook, the Arson Watch, that is a long-standing event. Recall when it first started, 2007-ish, Chief Cliff was here, and we started doing a lot of neighborhood walking with parishioners on patrol, and it just kind of blossomed to where it is today. So good work, good work. I do want to take this opportunity to thank the Public Works Department, Beth London, Phil Carwart, regarding letters that were sent out in the Morley School area relative to the upcoming construction project. Got a lot of good comments about that. A nice touch, so great job. Just being informed in terms of what's to come. A lot of smiles. So just pass that on. Thank you very much for that. Also, just like to make reference and congratulate some folks who held an event this weekend. Sunday, actually, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated hosted an event entitled Minority Hiring and its Impact on the Community at the monthly NAACP Saginaw Branch monthly meeting held at Zion Baptist Church. A great meeting, a lot of great and concerned citizens. Had a great panel of individuals speaking on various topics, but one point I would like to highlight, there was a presenter, Dr. Jones from Saginaw Valley State University, and welcome to SVSU students. She presented a presentation on some research that she conducted regarding the framework for improving minority hiring and the impact of the community. She indicated that she shared this information a couple years ago with various individuals. However, there was not much movement on it, but at this meeting, she shared that information. Prior to that, a couple months ago, she did meet with the NAACP and other community leaders at Hoyt Library, where she shared that information with, and at the time, unfortunately, the NAACP sort of did not endorse it or embrace it, but I think now that it's been shared with a larger group, and there was a very prominent retired police officer, Mr. Henry Hobson, in the audience. We all know Mr. Hobson, I know you work with him. And he stood up and made some very overwhelming support comments relative to the research and framework of Dr. Jones from Saginaw Valley State University. And I think from there, it really galvanized, and I think from my observation, refocused some folks who may have walked away from the initial presentation. And I really think it would be a great opportunity for all the members of council to hear this young lady, just to hear the information, the research that she's conducted, and then from there, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Manager, I know we've talked about partnering and having a comprehensive process in terms of expanding the ability to attract, recruit, and provide various services to try to improve that area. So I think it would be worth the invitation. I'll be more than willing to extend that invitation, set up a meeting where you could see that, Mr. Manager, bring her at a city meeting, city council meeting, have a few minutes of meeting. The presentation was 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't very long, but it was very impactful. And I think for the sake of the council, it would be very, very, I think, beneficial for us to look at that. Again, we all know and realize the importance of police. I don't think there's no one up here who would object to that. There are varying of opinions in terms of how that should be and how we should move forward on that. But having Dr. Jones come, I think, would be a great opportunity for us to have some more tools for our toolbox as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And at this point, we've covered everything over and over, but I get to do it one more time, just real quickly here. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem for filling in for me at our last council meeting. Thank you very much, as I was out of state for that. Just a couple of things. There's a lot of service clubs in our community, but I'll tell you, when you have a foundation built of 100 years ago and it still remains, that's a very strong organization. I thank you for allowing me to attend today. I will admit, though, I was very impressed because I don't make very many Rotary Club meetings. But for the Rotary Club to, on every one of their meetings, to break into the God Bless America, that's a very difficult song for me to sing because I always get choked up and I can't make it all the way through because it speaks a lot of our country and individually. So I was very impressed. Thank you very much for all the years of service to our community and creating our community. Thank you very much. Fire Prevention Week, please get the word out there. I'm going to go through this real fast. Missions in the city, boy, what a great blessing it is for us. Mr. Sanders, if you would pick that envelope up, please, that is at the city clerk's office. This is something that involves an insurance company and yourself. And my recommendation, or maybe some of our city council members who have some contact to the legal system, might point you in the right direction of where you could go to get some assistance with some legal assistance if that's what you're asking for. So I certainly want to make sure we don't hang on to that for you. For that. Landlords Association, thank you very much. And I think the relationship with the Landlords Association over the last 5, maybe 6 years has been tremendous with us in the city and sat down with us on committees and everything else that you've done for us. You're a huge part of our community. Jan Cook, thank you as always. With our arson watch, the numbers are way down. Deb Marconi, and I'm embarrassed, my neighborhood, and I don't want to mention the other council member who lives exactly across the street from me. We do not have a neighborhood watch organization. I don't want to say who that is, but his initials are Councilman Fitzpatrick. So, and thank you, Mr. Opperman, for your comments in regards, and I do want to address what you brought up earlier in your comments about our police chief's position. Since former Chief Police Light retirement announcement, especially since his departure, many citizens and civic leaders, including council members, have expressed their opinions and comments about the future leadership of the Saginaw Police Department. And that's for very good reason. Crime is down in our city. The Lieutenant Governor was here today, and I had a chance to shake his hand and say thank you, too, because our homicide rate is down at 70%. 70%. No other city has ever accomplished that kind of a reduction that we have been able to accomplish. And it goes on to be more than just the police. There's been a strong commitment to the community involvement with both our firefighters and our police officers. I'm sure I speak for all council members, all our citizens, and civic leaders when I say that we all have the same goal in mind: to continue to fight against crime, to maintain our officers close and improved relationships with our residents and neighborhood groups and other community organizations to keep our city safe for the welfare of our citizens. In short, we all want great leadership to continue in our police department. I want to take this opportunity to explain to our citizens the process that is underway for the consideration and hiring of our next police chief. First and foremost, we have a city manager form of government, sometimes referred to as a strong manager form, in which the city manager supervises the administrative affairs of the city. The city council has only one employee, and that is our city manager. So with that said, is the city manager, not the city council, who has the sole authority to appoint all employees, including all department heads. Although we are free to express our own opinion, City Council cannot direct or even request the appointment of any person to any office. That is through the city charter and the state law. Since former Chief Leip's departure, the city manager, appropriately so, has been informing City Council about the procedure he and his staff plan to employ or to recruit and determine the best, most qualified candidates for appointment to this very important position. I can't speak for all council members, but for myself, I am pleased with the reports that the city manager Morales has thought carefully about this process and to ensure he receives input from the community and provides equal opportunities for all qualified candidates during this selection process. And I wanted to remind us all about that process, that the sole hiring of any department head is done, or any city employee is done through the city manager. And Mr. Manager, I would like to, if you would, during your manager updates, please update us where you're at on the process of replacing our former police chief Light, if you would, during your committee or your remarks from them. With that said, I have one other acknowledgement. For some time, I have been putting a lot of pressure on my fellow council member, Larry Caloris, here to my left, because he claimed that he has the very best, or makes the very best coney sauce. And I've challenged him on that, and he has rose to the occasion, and I will publicly state that he makes the best coney sauce. Unfortunately, many of us will not be able to taste that, and he will not give the recipe to anyone that I'm sure, although it may go to the highest bidder, I'm not sure. So with that said,
Absolutely not. There's not enough money.
okay. With that, that concludes my remarks. Madam Clerk, oh, thank you, SVSU students in the back. Raise your hand, SVSU students. Thank you. From now on, it's kind of boring stuff, so it's up to you guys. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item of business is reports from manager.
The best part.
I apologize, Mr. Manager.
Yes. Well, the first item that I have on my list is police chief. The posting for the police chief position closed last week, so the Human Resources Department is still working on that. Within the next week or so, I will probably come up with some additional guidelines for selecting the individuals to be interviewed, and then we will be scheduling interviews, and I think I've kind of held the same time frame for the entire time, and that's we're looking at most likely interviewing people in November for the first interviews, and because we're having a little bit different process, it's difficult to give a hard and fast timeline because particularly with the community members that are going to serve on the committee. Currently, I have asked 4 individuals to serve, and I've gotten 3 yeses back. So I'm anticipating to hear back from the 4th one, and then we'll probably add one more, at least one more. And as you all know, coordinating a group of people of that size for interviews is going to take some time, so we need some lead time for that. And the same with our in-house group as well. We intend to have one police chief from out of the area to serve on that, so we'll have to try to coordinate the schedules. We did that for the fire chief interviews. We had chief from out of town, and it proves to be quite difficult when you're asking someone for a favor to serve on an interview committee like that. We have to accommodate their schedule. So I know Councilman Clark and the mayor are aware of trying to coordinate large groups of people for a meeting. It's very difficult. So that will affect the timeline. But I think we'll be still with what I initially thought of as interviews in November. I have not reviewed any of the applications yet. As I said, HR is still working on that. So we will be meeting next week, I believe, with our labor attorneys on some of the issues as well. So that's where we are with the police chief search. At this point, I think our acting chief, Ruth, is doing a good job, so I think we're in good hands until we move on with our search. Another item I wanted to mention.
Questions to council members on the process? Any questions on the process for our manager on that? Yep, go ahead.
Yep. Just a question in terms of how many candidates so far?
It's, well, I haven't reviewed the application, so we would only know application count, and I haven't even gotten into that. I believe we received less than 20 applications.
Less than 20 applications?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep. If we get into reviewing the applications, making sure that everyone has included everything that's required, and we get down to a number that possibly isn't enough candidates, we can also explore reopening it and trying to do more recruiting if that's necessary. Sure. We've done that in the past with different searches, so that's a possibility. Since I haven't examined the ones that have been submitted, I can't tell you if we may have to do that or not. Probably would know that in the next week or so.
Okay, but so far 20 applicants.
Less than 20,
Less than 20
I believe.
applicants.
Yep.
Less than 20 applicants. Okay,
Yep.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And my question is on the postings. Can you give me a little example of how we posted that, or do we need, or how we posted and where? I mean,
off the top of my head, we posted on several different websites, SGTV, ICMA website, which is a city administrator website, International Association of Chiefs of Police. I believe there's one that we added was called Minority Update, which is posts all over the country to minority police officers. The FBI Academy list, which is where our former Chief Lipe attended the FBI Academy, and he was gracious enough to send it out over that network. So we did cast a pretty broad net, and if it's, you know, we might not call it a national search, but if you're posting on the Police Chiefs Association, that's what people from all over the country look at. So it was a very wide posting in addition to our local postings.
thank you. Any other questions on that issue? Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another item had mentioned, a few council members mentioned the Bancroft Wine and Martini Bar, so I would give a plug for another business that's opening downtown that is the Bradley's Bistro is opening this week. Yep, I believe I actually was there with a group from Saginaw County, county administrator and county board chair, and several state employees that specialize in development. They had kind of some sample opening, soft opening. They do have great food, and that's a business that is partially funded through our Saginaw Economic Development Corporation. So I like to support them. It's been a long time coming. They've been working pretty hard on getting that open, so we're glad that's going to be. So if you get a chance to take some people down there, they'll be open for lunch this week, I think. So it's
Location?
It's on
Federal?
216 Federal, yes.
Right next to the flower shop.
Correct, right next to the flower shop. You can see the Bancroft from there. So it's great to that we're having living space downtown, so we need these kind of businesses to open so people stay downtown, and so that the people have a place to work, eat, and play downtown. So I think that's a great business.
I've been watching that, and I've seen the tables were all set in there, and I've wondered when they're open. I'm excited because as a young officer with patrolling downtown, that used to be the Charlotte Cafe in that very same building down there. And to see something from the early 70s now coming right back and becoming a restaurant again there, that's pretty unique. So, yep, go ahead.
So can we have a sandwich named after us at this new restaurant now? I just thought I'd get my plug in.
Let me clarify, the sandwich on the menu is not named after me. But if you were to ask about that sandwich, the recommendation is from the city, from the mayor. He recommends that sandwich. So that's just clarification. So.
Okay, well, I did ask.
But I'd go for it if I was you. Though. I would. All right, go ahead.
Okay, and I would also, I'm sure you've all heard that the Central Michigan University Board voted on the St. Mary's location, so that's great news as well. Had a little more information in one of my other board meetings this week, and it's a pretty substantial investment. I think this facility will be about $12 million, if not more than that. It may have been more, but it will create somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 70 new jobs as well in the medical school. So between the two, in excess of 100 new jobs. So that's good as well. The fire award ceremony is tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Central Fire Station.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Can you give us exactly what that site will be? I mean, you said St. Mary's site, so what?
It's on St. Mary's Medical Campus. I can't tell you where exactly.
On the east side there, right?
Yes, yeah. If you're familiar with it at all, which I'm not that familiar with their campus, but they're currently have an instructional auditorium near the Fields Institute, I believe.
Okay.
So that will be expanding out from that area is what they described it. They will continue to use that same auditorium, but that part will be renovated and expanded as well. So that's, if you're familiar with the campus, that's where it will be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I believe that's a continuation of the current building. It's going to be a continuation, built and continued.
Okay. The fire award ceremony tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Central Fire Station. I know all the council members have been invited to that, and I will be there as well. So that's a great opportunity to see some of the firefighters and see who's some of the other things that they've done throughout the past year. It's usually quite astounding to hear what some of the people who are getting awards have done. So we are looking forward to that tomorrow. Councilman Clark mentioned fire ground survival training that they did, and I know the fire chief will probably talk a little bit more about that tomorrow, and they also have received some equipment through that. I know they'll have that at the fire station tomorrow during the award ceremony, and we'll actually have 6 firefighters that are trained in this that can now train other firefighters on this ground survival. So it's pretty good. It's a great way for public safety to be trained, and I did forward all council members the letter from Captain Pollock from the Lansing Fire Department, but it's pretty complimentary towards Chief Van Loo and our fire department. So I think it's shown good leadership that they've been able to set up that training. And I would also mention, talked a lot about the fire, the smoke alarms, but I had the fire department out to inspect my open burn permit, and I think they do a great job coming out and doing that as well. So they were actually like 5 minutes early, so give them credit for that too. And finally, the NAACP had their 44th annual Freedom Fund banquet a few weeks ago, and it saluted the 2014 Achievement recognition award recipients. And from their magazine, the Saginaw NAACP branch wished to honor the following individuals for their outstanding career and professional achievement and their contributions to others in support of social justice and equality. There were 23 young professionals, and in that group were Kimberly Mason, our Director of Water and Wastewater Treatment, and Councilman Damon Tibbs, Assistant Prosecutor, Saginaw County Prosecutor's Office. So thought that was a great accomplishment for both of them. So congratulations to both of them, and we're proud of both of them. And Kim's been a great department head. She's worked hard for the city for close to 20 years, 21 years. So started when she was 12 years old. So. So congratulations to Councilman Tibbs and Miss Mason. And that's all that I have to update you on. We have the Andersen Center here this evening to provide an update for us on the activities that they have been working on.
Hello. Oh, sorry. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and City Manager. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. Can you hear me? I guess. Yeah, okay. I have a PowerPoint I would like to give you some information about the Andersen with. And let's see, I need to turn this on. Okay. Welcome to the Andersen Enrichment Center. This was a picture we took in the spring when our trees were in bloom. It's very pretty. The mission statement of the Andersen Enrichment Center is to provide a cultural enrichment and social center for the diverse population of our community, thereby enhancing the economic vitality of the Saginaw region. The income and support for the Enrichment Center comes from grants provided by the community and business rentals. In the past several years, a new furnace has been purchased, partial roof replaced, complete kitchen remodeled, and new carpet. This past summer, we had 78 new hostas planted, donated, and planted into the garden. And a rose and garden revitalization is underway for our roses. We are currently trying to develop something with the Rose Society. We have a rose rosette that has set in, and our roses are about 20 years old, and we need to completely pull out all 200 of our roses. So this is kind of a big undertaking that we're working with the Rosarians and with the Rose Rosette we have. They're working closely with Michigan State University on this so that it does not spread and what we need to do. So it will be replanted and beautiful. Our first event would be the Art and Garden Festival. The second Wednesday in June, the Andersen hosts a free admission fundraising event called the Art and Garden Festival. This festival attracts between 600 and 700 visitors, and we have approximately 35 vendors annually. A staple of our festival is the lunch spread with our tasty homemade strawberry shortcake. In addition to our popular silent auction and raffle, we have craft vendors from all across the region selling their handmade wares. Our Art and Garden Committee selects 4 gardening experts to share their knowledge with public, free to the public. Our Art and Garden sponsors, we have 3 sponsors for Art and Garden. We have a red rose sponsor, a yellow rose, and a pink rose. Each one gets free advertising, and if we have a $500 sponsor, they do also get a vendor table. Jazz in the Garden, our next big event. Andersen hosts Jazz in the Garden beginning the second Wednesday in July, continuing for 4 consecutive weeks. The jazz concert series entertains 300 to 600 guests per show in the Lucille E. Andersen Rose Garden. We provide a concession stand of drinks and snacks. The band set up a merchandise table where guests can purchase their CDs. Please bring a chair and enjoy the jazzy atmosphere next summer. The Andersen seeks $500 scholarship or sponsorships for each concert, which includes a private party in our beautiful garden room, VIP concert seating, and free advertising and a prominent banner on our fence if provided by the sponsor. Our upcoming event that we're preparing for now is our Holiday Fair. Holiday is a popular fundraising event for the Saginaw Art and Enrichment Commission, held on the first Wednesday each December. I believe it's December 3rd this year. Holiday, we have soup, sandwich, and a dessert luncheon, a silent auction, approximately 21 vendors inside of our building, where Art and Garden is outside in the garden, featuring fresh holly that we sell, a bake sale, and handcrafted reindeer. This is something else we're preparing for right now is Holidays in the Heart of the City. Andersen is kind of a central location for everything that goes on that Friday evening. The Cookie House competition is housed at the Andersen. Every November, we host the annual Cookie House competition and Girls Reindeer Run for Holidays in the Heart of the City, which is presented by Pride. The Cookie House is, we're open on Friday night, and then we're also open on Saturday. We have the farmers market right in front of our building. We have vendors out there Friday night selling things like pizza, and the radio station is out there, SGW in the Bay. And then on Saturday, the reindeer run ends at Andersen. So it's a pretty busy weekend for us. The Saginaw Area Water Media Artist is one of our 2 exhibits of the year, and we just set this up today. Andersen and the Arts Commission host the Saginaw Area Water Media Artist exhibit annually in October. The event lasts for 2 weeks. An evening reception allows the public to enjoy the show and meet the artists. And our reception is tomorrow from 5 to 7 at the Andersen. Everything is set up, and for the next 2 weeks, the water media art will be in our Hall of Fame room. Our second art show is the Saginaw School District Art Exhibit. Andersen and the Art Commission host the annual Saginaw School District Art Exhibit. This event takes place end of January, first part of February for 2 weeks. Entries are judged and awards are given to students at a public reception. Art at Andersen. Every 6 to 8 weeks, the halls and lobby of the Andersen Enrichment Center highlight the works of a local artist. The exhibits are open to the public Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. Most of the art is for sale by the artists. We were privileged to host Brian Woods and Henry Reyna's art exhibit featuring their beautiful photography shortly before Brian passed away. The Andersen Gift Gallery the Art Commission maintains the gift gallery, which includes items from local artists. We have 3 glass cases that we have local artists put their jewelry, their wood, their ceramics, whatever they'd like that can fit in our showcases, and we sell them. And we get people come in and shop when you need a unique gift. We have some pretty things. The building rental, the Andersen provides rental opportunities for the community, private parties, weddings, businesses, and churches. We do receptions, reunions, showers, and parties. This is kind of a setup of our garden room that has full linen that people have decorated. And we rent the linen to people if they so choose. We can do business meeting setups. The garden room will hold about 100 seats. And some groups will come in, like our master gardeners, once a month, and we'll set up 100 chairs and they'll have a meeting in there. But we can also set up a classroom style and do seminars. The rental rates for the Andersen: 1 room for 4 hours is $300, 1 room for 5 hours $325, 2 rooms, which would be the whole building basically, 4 hours $375, 2 hours $425. Our wedding packages are $250 for 2.5 hours, and we are kind of unique that we do have an inside bride's room, even though the weddings are out in the garden. They have access to the building. We give them a bridal room to set up and stay private, and then if by any chance they have inclement weather, we're one of the rare places that can offer them to move inside to our garden room and still have a beautiful wedding overlooking the garden. The garden is open to the public 24 hours a day, which I don't know if a lot of people know that. Our gates are always open. Even though they're closed, we keep them closed because of wind, but they are open 24 hours a day. If you're ever having a bad day or you're just tired, pull up to that gate and walk through there for 5 minutes and you will feel much better. People do it all the time, or come over and have lunch. They'll sit in the garden. We have benches and enjoy a 10-minute lunch. It's very refreshing and beautiful. Let's see. The building seats a maximum of 150 guests. Andersen Enrichment and the Saginaw Arts and Enrichment Commission. Andersen has 2 City of Saginaw part-time employees, the building manager and the site event supervisor. The building is open to the public Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Art Commission is a City of Saginaw commission with 2 part-time employees of its own, a director and a director of marketing. The Lucille E. Andersen Memorial Garden. I just brought some of our beautiful pictures of the garden. This garden, it takes a lot of effort, and it is beautiful, and I just love it. But I have 3 TRICAP community service people that pretty much help me out with this garden, which we could never do without them, without their community service of about 30 hours per week most of the year. I use them year-round to help with the building maintenance and, cleaning and vacuuming and all the things that go with maintaining the building. But in the summertime, they are invaluable. They prune my roses, they weed. We have great support from the Rosarians, the Rose Society, the Hosta Society, the Master Gardeners, and the Women's National Farm and Garden. I can't say enough about how much they do for us. They're there if we have, a problem, plants dying, something's eating something. I mean, we can call any of them at any time, and they are there for help. And they are also there to help with our Art and Garden Festival. They're on our committee. I can't say enough about the people. They're wonderful, and they do everything to keep our garden going. And there's some more pictures of our garden. I kind of got the outer garden. That's one of the items that we planted all the hostas. The outer garden was really, the garden is 20 years old, and it needs some work. And we've been really trying to put some new things in there and to get out things that maybe aren't, growing well or have had some disease and stuff. And all our beautiful apple trees do have some disease in them right now, but so far, so good. They're still blooming beautifully, so we're okay. The beginning, the Andersen pool. I know there's some of you here that must have been in that pool. There we go, the big, deep, scary pool. We have customers in every week that come in with the stories. And I gave everyone a postcard. This particular postcard, my husband found on eBay, if you can believe this. Someone that collected old postcards out of state. This was from 1940s, and the back of it has a story of the girl writing to her mother about being at the Andersen pool and just telling what had happened that day. And people come in, and we have actually made postcards of this, and people come in, they love them. They all think they're in them. Am I in there somewhere? So we have a lot of fun pool stories. Everybody comes in and, well, the locker room was this way or this way, and we like to share. But I'd also like to read this. The Andersen Enrichment Center and Lucille E. Andersen Memorial Garden were originally dedicated as a pool and bathhouse in the 1940s, donated by Frank N. Andersen. to the Saginaw Central Park system. In 1983, the pool closed and was filled in with sand as the city began to look for other uses for the site. Concurrently, concern arose that the very popular formal rose garden, which was located atop the city's underground water supply, should be relocated elsewhere in Central Park. In 1990, a landscape architect was retained by the city to develop a master plan for the Central Park system. One key charge of that plan was to determine the disposition of the closed Andersen Pool area. It was decided that it would be possible to recycle the place into a formal rose sculpture garden that could tie into a new cultural center and replace the existing garden. And under the direction of the Saginaw Community Enrichment Commission, the renovations and plans for the current Andersen Enrichment Center began. 2 years later, on April 7, 1983, the newly christened Andersen Enrichment Center celebrated with its ribbon cutting ceremony. Since that time, the building and garden have become a busy community and enrichment center for the citizens of Saginaw. And this is just a beautiful picture. Our garden is beautiful all summer long, but this is what you also see out of our garden window during the winter. So people that are having events and things in our garden, they see this beautiful site all winter long. And this is our Christmas picture. This will be up and coming all too soon. The Andersen Enrichment Center and Lucille E. Andersen Memorial Rose Garden are considered the crown jewels in the heart of Saginaw Celebration Square. Please visit us anytime. Thank you.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Yes, as I'm sure many of the council and the staff here have been there for meetings, and I've been there for, in fact, my own 30th wedding anniversary. My children got it, and I've been there for weddings. What a beautiful, beautiful
We
site.
work really hard to keep it clean, you know, and just beautiful.
It's very impressive. Your
Thank
staff's
you.
very impressive.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask, just for people's knowledge, if someone was to try and rent it for an upcoming event like a wedding, how soon do they need to get with you? How many are you?
How
years
far out?
Are we?
No. Because we do 2 or 3 weddings like a day. Are you talking like a summer wedding?
Yes.
A summer wedding, you want to be probably a year out, 8 months, something like that. Depends on what month. June is everybody's popular month. But that's also our art and garden, and the Country Music Fest is a weekend that we have to take out of there that we can't
No
have
way.
a wedding on that Country Music Fest day. So that limits June a little bit more. But yeah, about.
Yeah. So
About
we're
a
not
year.
having any trouble with using the facility?
No.
No. It's well known, we're advertised. we
Yes.
get it out
Oh,
there.
yes.
Yeah.
I hope so, yes.
Thank
I
you.
think the community.
Councilman
This is
Tidd.
us.
I was a former member of the Saginaw County Bar Board. I was a director, and I encouraged the Bar Board to have a network event there, and they had one there
Thank
recently.
you very much. I think everybody really enjoyed themselves.
Yes.
Great.
And what I liked about it was that it was the county. We had attorneys from Hemlock,
That's
St.
great.
Charles.
That's great. We get
And,
people from outer areas in, yes.
And they said,
they come and they're like, oh my gosh, this place is beautiful.
exactly. I was going to say, they said it was refreshing, beautiful. It was a piece of serenity, and they're going to have another event there soon.
Great.
I guess a lot of pushback we get sometimes is how the city doesn't utilize, I guess, individuals who may be in trouble with the law. I know you used the term TRICAP, and some of our residents may not know what TRICAP is. And,
Yes, and I guess I don't exactly know how to, it's an in-house, I don't know what to call it.
But basically, you're utilizing
Yes, community
their
service,
community
for their
service,
community
yeah.
service, and it helps them with their fines and things, yes. I just don't know what we'd do without them.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And they selectively send me, good workers and, cream of the crop I try and get.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. With that, wonderful presentation. Thank
Oh,
you
thank you
very
very
much.
much.
And
Thank
this is an annual thing, I believe, City Manager, isn't the report on Andersen is annual?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is part of the requirement, is that they report to the council on an annual basis. So
Okay, all right.
Thank you
very
very,
much.
very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And then one final thing, you'll notice you have your budget books delivered, so they're finally printed, so you can have some reading material for when you get home tonight. And that concludes the management update.
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
All right, so we're at the consent agenda, and I want everyone to know that that's been available at City Hall, on the city's webpage, and on SGTV. With that said, I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda, leaving rooms for exceptions. It's been moved and supported. Are there any exceptions? Councilman Tibbs, number 5. Councilman Tibbs wants number 5. Is there any other exceptions? Any other exceptions? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, your first exception is item number 5. Approve the urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township to provide building inspection, planning, and zoning services for a term of 3 years. That was Councilman Tibbs.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. A simple, I know the good work you do for our city as well as our neighborhood associations. I mean, you're kind of under the radar sometimes and somewhat take it for granted. But sometimes you get a pushback considering how much work you have to do with the small staff you have. And so I guess the question would probably be, how is it that we're able to do some services for a neighboring township? And you did use the term minimum impact, but obviously, I mean, I have full faith and confidence you're going to get it done, but I guess I just want to be able to relay that to our residents.
Sure. As I stated, we did issue only 22 permits in the township. Those permits are divided among 4 employees, which is about 4 or 5 inspections for each employee. Considering we do 5, 6, 7,000 inspections in the city every year, I mean, those numbers are very, very small, and the staff really, they don't really recognize any impact of their day. It doesn't really take away from, based on those types of numbers. It's a 10-minute trip there, 10-minute trip back, and maybe 5 minutes at the site. So it's very small as far as that impact goes.
And the number of the contract, is that pretty much all profit to the city, or?
Well, there's certainly some costs,
Sure.
As far as you got to put gas in the car to get there. We have to pay the employee to spend the 20, 25 minutes to do the inspection. But the revenue that we receive certainly contributes more towards our operations of the work that we do in the city, as far as that goes.
Department with John's staff, their main purpose and why we have them here according to state law is to do inspections. And I think if you hear any comments about their time, it's typically scenic enforcement. That is a completely extra activity that John and his staff came up with to help with enforcement. And I'm sure the mayor remembers that wasn't something they did 10, 15, even probably 7 years ago. So what this helps us to do is to maintain that staff. The scenic enforcement doesn't really bring in revenue. Permits are what bring in the revenue. Permits in the city of Saginaw have been down for several years. I think we're just now getting new housing or housing remodel permits coming in. So this type of cooperation agreement with other townships helps us keep our staff of inspectors at the same level, which in turn allows them to perform the scenic activity. So actually, having these type of agreements helps bolster that staff so they can do the other things that we've become accustomed them doing and responding quickly to. So it's a good positive for that department.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Clark, any?
Thank you. I certainly acknowledge and appreciate the reason we're doing this. My only concern is the hope, I assume, is that the economy begins improving over the next few years and that this township as well will start issuing more permits. Does this take that into consideration? I mean, if it jumped up to double, triple, I really question whether you've got enough in the budget to do that or in this contract. That's my only worry.
Sure. Even if the number of permits, say the number of permits doubled to 44, or even went up to 60 or 70 permits, it's still the amount of work that is involved with those permits is still quite small, comparatively speaking, to what we do here in the city. The contract is set up so that we do, there is an out for both parties, so if it gets to the point where we can't provide the service at the level that we want to provide it, and it starts taking away from the service that we're obligated to provide for our residents, we can certainly back away from that and focus back on what we need to do in the city.
Does that give, if I may, does that give you the option to say we need to terminate it unless we can renegotiate? I mean, is that something that could be done?
I think it could be done. It would probably result in a termination and a renewal type
Okay.
situation. It doesn't specifically talk about the number.
That's okay, but the possibility exists to deal with the issue.
It certainly
Okay,
does.
Good, thank you. Support.
Been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, the next item of business is reports from boards, commissions, and committees.
And do I have any council members that have any reports from the boards or commissions that they are serving on currently? Any reports from boards, commissions, committees? Okay. Councilman Colores.
Thank you. Some more information from the Saginaw County Land Bank. Of course, these numbers are 5 weeks old, 6 weeks old. If you recall the last report I made, we had 4,700 lots in the city. We now have 5,000. The other number that's changed is the 1,500 side lots. The land bank's been very, very successful with those in selling them off to the neighbors, so that number will decrease. They had 37 homes for sale, and I believe this number is correct. 22 of them have been sold, which leaves 17. As of the past 5 or 6 weeks, the demolition completion on the hardest hit grant is 325. 20 of them are awaiting demo, or were awaiting demo. And projects waiting for Consumers Power and AK Peerless amount to 317. That's a process that they have to go through before the guy hits it with a sledgehammer and drops it down. So that's not a drag on the process, but it is a step that has to be done. And waiting to enter the program is 37. Total project is 699. And that pretty well covers it. But they have been making progress, and from what I hear, the city and the county are doing a better job than any other land bank or any other community that's working on the same project is doing. So we can be proud we've got a good system going. Thank you.
Any other committee? We have approval of reappointments, 3 reappointments for council to appoint. Number 1 is approval of, Madam Clerk, are you supposed to read? Do you read these? Would you please? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Appointment of City Council reappointment of Timothy Morales to the Administrative Officer position on the MBS International Airport Commission with a term to expire October 15, 2018.
Been moved in support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? I'm sorry, question?
Okay, the city manager is automatically on that committee. I'm asking just a minute. That's an automatic position that he
Well,
has.
He's representing the position as an administrative
Okay.
officer.
Okay, okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next appointment is approval of City Council reappointment of Dennis Browning of the legislative body to the MBS International Airport Commission with a term to expire October 15, 2018.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And your third appointment, City Council reappointment of Greg Branch to the resident position to the MBS International Airport Commission with a term to expire October 15, 2018.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Mr. Branch, I'm sure has been asked if he wants to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And go ahead, ma'am.
Your fourth item is to acknowledge the city manager's appointment of Paul Wrench to the Plumbing Board of Appeals for an indefinite term.
And we just confirm the acknowledgement that this is a position that is placed by the city manager. And this is a replacement due to the tragic loss of our city employee. This is the steps that are now starting to fill, okay? That's why, because we lost, go ahead.
Yes, I'm just concerned when you put him on there indefinite time, I don't know why is it indefinite time?
It's an indefinite term because that is the position.
asking
Oh, I'm sorry.
City manager, the question, sir.
I apologize.
No problem,
I'm
sir.
involved.
No problem.
For that position, it's an employee position, so it has to be outside of inspections. It's one that I guess I can change at any time if I want to, so it makes sense to have it as an indefinite period of time.
So he is an employee?
Yes, he is.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Paul Reinsch is the superintendent of the water treatment plant.
Okay, thank you.
Next, Madam Clerk.
The boards and commissions committee
Oh,
outline, Mayor?
I'm sorry, yes. You were, each of us at our site had a boards and commissions outline, or boards and commission committee. You have this outline here today, and we talked with our city manager, city attorney on this. What's that? Okay, they're telling me it's not at this end of the table. Larry says he doesn't have one either. We'll make sure we get copies quickly before we can proceed. Yeah, there's a lot of paper. I don't know. I know Amos has it and the rest, but I know, that's all right. No, she's making copies. No, she's making copies right now for us. We're not going to go on until we have them. I don't know why, because I know she went right down, but all of a sudden they didn't appear. So. But Deb has them. She'll make sure everyone has a copy. Dan, did you guys have them? Didn't either? Oh, I see. So, we're talking, I was talking with our manager and Andre, and I've also, with our Mayor Pro Tem a little bit. Our committee for boards and commission appointments consists of, I really don't have one.
We used to change it.
So we don't have one. And that's why I wanted to put this together, or ask them to put this timeline together, because we don't have that. And I think we need to get back to this, because I think it serves a very important purpose. So let me run through these real quick. Number one, the City of Saginaw by and through its City Council, Mayor and City Manager appoints persons to different boards, commissions, and or authorities. City employees and officials served by virtue of their position or the office. Which we had a perfect example of that just a second ago here. Number two, based on city clerk records, the mayor or the city council approved and or created a committee of 3 council members to aid in the review of applications for city council appointed positions. The last official record of the committee are from 2002. Although the committee did meet more recently under Mayor Branch's term. For the positions that are appointed by City Council only, not mayor appointments or appointments by the city manager, the committee could be reactivated simply by appointing 3 members of the committee. I suggest that because we are unclear how the appointments were made in the past, that the mayor make these appointments with approval of city council. I also suggest that each committee member's term be clearly stated. Example, 6 months for one, 12 months for another, 18 months for the last member on a rotating basis. And to clarify, that means every 6 months a new council person would go on to that committee and a council person would be dropping off. But we would appoint 6, 12, and 18 to begin with. And everyone would have to, would serve their term on that committee. I suggest upon reactivation of the committee, the council will approve the process for future appointments. Example, the mayoral or the mayor with council approval, etc. So we have a couple openings right now on a couple boards that need to be filled. But the process of doing that, I think, needs to be really revisited. Truly, if we appoint a committee, then this committee must meet. It must follow the Open Meetings Act, and we must keep minutes for this to be the committee and on a regular basis. Now, you know from the past, there's sometimes we go a couple months without appointing anybody to a committee, and then all of a sudden we'll have quite a few. So revisiting this, putting this committee back together, and so that we can to adequately and to fill these boards' positions. And so with that, and I'm open. I'd like to open up for further discussion from comments from the council members. I think it's important to have this committee to review applicants that come in, review the charges that are given to those boards that originally started. And I'll use the riverfront as an example. You know, what is their charge as a committee, and what is the representation on that board? And so I think this would serve us very well. We've been doing it very haphazardly, and I think we need to stop. But there's a couple the positions that are opening, that are waiting for us to do, but there's no board right now in the position that they cannot operate because there's lack of board members. So I want to make that very clear to everyone. There's no boards that cannot act on because we have not appointed somebody. So with that said, and with unless somebody objects, I'd like to appoint 3 people to that committee. They need to meet, come up with first of all, they need to meet, and I think we have to set a date for that. Would we have to set a date? It has to be public and posted. Do we set it here at the table, or do we just post it through the clerk's office?
Either way.
What, through the clerk's office? I think we'd post it through the clerk's office. When you, it's hard to set a date for the very first meeting because, I think they need to do that. So with that, do I have any, I would ask if any, first of all, if any, I think every council member should really serve on this committee. But is there anyone that would like to serve on this committee at this point? That would like? Okay, go ahead.
I served in that committee. I don't know which one of the past 9 years. I don't ever recall anybody taking minutes.
I know it.
Can anybody tell me whether this is something that's mandatory? I don't ever recall any minutes.
Okay.
It was very, very casual. We got our job done. The other thing, this isn't an easy task. The reason there are vacancies in these boards and commissions is very difficult to find anybody to step up and serve on them. It may sound like an easy job, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy finding people that will serve on boards and commissions.
Well, 2 things. Number one, before I turn this over to our city attorney about why we have to have minutes, second, we would approve appointments to boards and commissions. We would not necessarily go out and have to find members for those boards and commissions. That would be...
Oh, I understand.
So just for clarification. City, Mr. Andre, Mr. Barella, would you explain the concept of the committee and what legally are the requirements for us to form a committee from the council?
Well, those of you who served before probably know a little bit more about it than I do. I recall back when I was an employee at the city, this had come up. I think it was in the late 90s or around 2000. And precisely, Mayor, for the reasons you had set forth, that it wasn't always kept on the front burner, so to speak. As far as the taking of minutes, that's just something that this committee, I assume, was created by council. So there are no formal rules other than what you impose on that committee. The taking of minutes is simply something for your benefit and for the benefit of the public, that they be available. But as far as, because I think they were taken, and I'll defer to the clerk, I think back in 2002, she has some records that there was a little bit more formal back then. So that's my recommendation, that you would, be formal with it. As far as, any legal requirement, I don't really know of one, but I think it's good practice.
Yes, Councilman. Or Mayor, I'm sorry.
Well, who was first?
Well, you're all set now.
Yeah, if you're short, I'd be very happy to participate.
Okay. So, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. So is this, that sheet that we got with the empty vacancies, is that what we're talking about, filling all the committees that we have actually going on now?
The sheet with all the vacancies.
Right.
If a citizen applied to one of those positions,
okay,
then eventually that would come to this committee for appointment, for consideration of appointment to that board, committee, or commission.
Okay, so once I asked about us getting together or reformulating the charters, would that be one that's up, that it would be under that umbrella too?
No,
To take-
that would be, if you wanted to That would be something completely separate, a charter commission or committee to review the charter, again, for recommendations to change. That would be something completely different than this. Completely different than this. This is for current boards and boards, committees, and
I like to volunteer.
you are. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Councilman
I heard
Balls.
that you had mentioned that this board here would make sure that those other boards are having minutes too. Did you say that?
No.
Okay. But all boards should have minutes. Any committee that's supposed to be doing the work of the city should have minutes. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they should.
So I wouldn't see no reason why this board wouldn't have minutes too. You know.
I agree.
If I may,
Go ahead.
one thing I want to do, minutes are intended to cover official actions only.
Yeah.
If there is no official action, there's no purpose of minutes, including this committee or any other committee. So the question becomes whether there would be official action taken by this committee or not. And that's something perhaps we would need a better input from our city attorney on that. I'm not sure any of this is official action. I mean, the question becomes, is it minutes or is it simply note-taking of the people you're looking at, or as opposed to true minutes? There is a difference.
Well, the committee would be a creation of the council. And its charge, as I understand it, would be to review and make recommendations to the council as to the filling of vacancies. So as such, my opinion is that they should take minutes, whether you call them notes or minutes, but there should be some proceedings in a record where you can go back and say, you know, if there was a discussion among the council members about what was done at the committee level, you would at least have those minutes to go back to and say, well, this is what we discussed and this is what we came up with. How formal, now I agree with you that how formal this has to be, that's really up to the charge from council and to the committee.
I'm fine with that as long as it's recognized that it's only official action that needs to be recorded.
Right.
The discussion doesn't get recorded.
Right.
Only the action.
I agree, and it should be also made clear, and I think it is, but I'll reiterate that this, you know, that committee is not going to have any power itself.
Yes, exactly.
So, just to recommend and make advice.
Okay. Go ahead. I want to make sure. This side, okay?
For the moment.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment relative to you know, the posting of meetings. Basically, what I recall, when there were several applications, we would let the clerk know, and then according to the Open Meetings Act, we have to post it. Then the clerk would post it. We would have our meeting, discuss the applications, and if for a reason where an individual was on the application list that actually came to the meeting, then we could, you know, just sort of ask a few questions in terms why you want to be on the committee, et cetera, and let that be it. And we can document, met with Joe Brown, who had an interest in Riverfront Development Committee, and then the committee would then have the discussion and then make recommendations to bring to council for the actual decision. So as you said, Mr. Attorney, it's pretty informal, but as you said, the council would look at those applications, then bring the recommendations to council for consideration. So we don't really have to make it as formal, you know, it's just a process that we go through. And
my understanding of the intent of the committee back in the day was just to make sure that we stayed on task, that the city stayed on task to ensure that these positions would be filled.
Right. And finally, Mr. Mayor, if I may, the fact that you shared the information, rotating council, all council members will at some point in time be on the committee. It's just the way the system is set up. So I think that gives everyone a chance to experience the process of reviewing the applications and going through the process of bringing them to council for a decision. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So,
if I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
It looks like there's two suggestions. One is that the mayor makes some initial appointments, and then that, once that committee has been created, the council itself address the process for future appointments. Is that what I'm understanding correctly? That's what's stated here, particularly number 7.
Consideration with that the mayor could just appoint, and I thought, because, you know, I've worked with the clerk, met with her, and looked at the records, and quite frankly, it's not clear. So my recommendation, number 1, is the mayor make the appointments with the, you know, approval of the council tonight, if that's so your choice. Then I would probably have you vote for the terms, which would be really truly 18-month terms, but the first will be 6 and 12, and then on a rotating basis, so that a new member would come on every 6 months, as the mayor indicated. And then last but not least, Councilman Clark, yes, that's my suggestion was, do you want future appointments to be simply mayoral appointments, or do you want the council to do that on this committee? So
Open for discussion on how you want to handle
Those
that.
three.
You know, 6 months from now, a council member's coming off and someone needs to step up and step on to that. And so, I mean, I'd like to make that as smooth as we can, because everybody knows they gotta have it, they gotta take their turn.
Because of that, I'd recommend it just be mayoral appointments.
Okay.
I really would. I mean, rather than trying to have to ask people and you just make the appointment, it gets done,
Okay.
that it's done.
Okay.
Well, yeah, well, the initial one would be a rotation. After that, it'd be rotation based on 18 months staggered.
Sure.
Appointments would be to pick the newer members of the council to get them started on this. But that's just my suggestion. Maybe some people think, well, we should have a mixture, whatever, but, you know.
I missed that.
New members.
No.
Just recommendation for new members, about the newest members of council to have a chance to serve on the committee. But they're going to be here a long time. The newest members are going to be here for 5 years or 4 more. So you'll have time to go through at least probably twice in that time. So, okay.
Maybe, unless we have a retirement program.
Yeah, that's true. We do offer an early out.
Good.
So, okay, then I know. You know, you get, so I guess at the point what I'm hearing from council is we need to appoint, or I'll recommend, I need to appoint someone for the first 6 months, is that correct? And I just don't want to point a finger and say, do it, but if there's a volunteer, I'd be glad to appoint you for the first 6 months, get it started. Now, that might, well, you want the first 6. I would appoint Brenda Moore to the 6 months position. Yep. Okay.
But I think, why doesn't the council vote for these 3? Then after you've established the committee, then have a formal motion that future appointments
Okay.
be made by the mayor.
All right, so let's appoint Brenda Moore to that committee. Yes.
Committee where a council member is to be appointed, I mean, would that cause a conflict as far as the council members that are on the committee and they possibly could be a member of that committee if you appoint them? That makes sense?
No.
All right.
Help me out.
Okay, for example, it was suggested that I sit on the Riverfront
Okay.
committee.
Okay.
Now, if I'm on this committee and the application come through, would that cause a problem?
If it would, for legal opinion.
Yeah, well, and the clerk and I are kind of having some eye contact. Right.
Plus, this committee is making recommendation. It takes the whole vote of the council to actually appoint that person to the position.
The common one would be if a appointment of council members probably isn't rare, but those are usually mayoral appointments. So they wouldn't even come to this committee. This committee will only see those who are applicants for council appointments, or mayoral appointments with council approval, which are essentially the same thing. But let me say this, I will be vigilant, and I'll work with the city clerk. If there are any issues like that, I would go ahead and furnish an opinion if there were any type of conflict problem. But I agree with the clerk that it's just a recommendation. The full council is the one who makes the final decision.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well,
Larry Caloris on that committee, and I'd like to appoint one more, and I don't know if I can do that in her absence. Can I appoint somebody in their absence? I certainly can. I really want to have or let Annie Bench, on that committee, because she's the last one that I knew that was related to that committee. So Annie Bench to that. So I'd like to recommend those three to be approved for. I'd like to have. Do we need a motion?
Yeah. We know the terms for each of those
Well,
appointments.
I didn't assign terms. I thought we were going to vote on them first and then do the term?
You can do the terms, I think. You can do the terms now. I just want
Okay.
the whole council to vote on that. I'm assuming you had Councilwoman Moore for the 6-month.
Yes.
I don't know if you were going in order or not, but I thought Councilman Caloris was 12 and Bench for 18.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I got lost on that. I thought it was a rotating thing. So if the three of us started, it was going to be rotated. All three would change again in 6 months.
In 6 months from now, you'll drop off this committee and another council member will come on.
For 18 months.
For 18 months. So everyone after that first person drops off, they will actually serve a year and a half.
So all three of us are 6 months.
No. You are going to be 6 months.
In order to.
I have to stagger them. I have to set the 6, 12, and 18 to start with.
That's fine.
And then from that point on.
That's fine.
So-
That's fine. No, I don't understand it, but that's
You
fine.
would drop off, but actually, you would be eligible to come back within 6 months after you drop off. So, okay. Is everyone okay with this? I know we're kind of, yeah, no, okay. So, do I need?
Motion would be in order.
Huh?
Motion would be in order.
First term of 6 months. I will move, and then Councilman Caloris for 12 months and Councilman Bench for 18 months, with the subsequent appointments to be 18 months for all.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we need a motion then that this would be a mayor appointment?
Correct, that would be the only one left.
The left, now I'd like to have someone entertain a motion.
I'd so move that the following appointments for 18-month terms to this committee be mayoral appointments.
Been moved? Second? Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, we're now moving on.
Yes, your next item of business are resolutions, and we do have a few this evening.
Okay.
Resolution recognizing American GI Forum of Saginaw, the women's section, as a nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a charitable gaming license.
Need a motion to adopt? Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Second resolution is for the City of Saginaw apportionment of $5,812.50 for the Saginaw Area Stormwater Authority annual budget.
Need a motion to adopt? It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Third resolution, appointing Jason Castile as trustee and Paul Wrench as alternate trustee to the Saginaw Area Stormwater Authority Board of Trustees.
Need a motion to adopt. Been moved and supported. Is there any discussion on the appointment of these two to the Saginaw Stormwater Authority Board? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Opposed?
Our fourth resolution designating Beth D. London, city engineer, as the street administrator in all transactions with the Michigan Department of Transportation.
I need a motion to adopt. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Our fifth and last resolution is for the city's participation in the Michigan Economic Development Corporation's Redevelopment Ready Communities Program and the Memorandum of Understanding.
Need a motion to adopt. Been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
It somewhat pains me, but as I said 2 weeks ago, I have a problem with this entire concept. And I know the prior management requested this participation in the program. I'm aware that the staff doesn't think it'll take too much time. I cannot support it, however. To me, this program is more of an affront to what Saginaw has been doing already than it is any form of benefit to us. One of the suggestions is that if we don't do it and don't become certified, other communities who are certified will gain a benefit. Since it's clear they're trying to certify all the communities in the state, to me, we'll end up with the same level field that we have now. So I don't see that as any improvement whatsoever. In addition, it totally ignores the fact, in my opinion, that the state has been bleeding hundreds of thousands of jobs the past several years, but the state government doesn't seem to have a lot of clues of what to do about it, except now they're coming to us and saying, we'll tell you how to do it. Well, if they can't take care of their own house, I don't see them taking care of us. They want this program, they say this program will incentivize development locally, but they aren't developing, they're doing something with Pure Michigan, but it's still not enough. And on top of that, they've taken millions of dollars away through revenue sharing from the local communities over the last several years. And I would much rather see them say, we will give you money back to do all the things you can do locally and have been doing, than for them to come in and say, we'll tell you what to do, or we'll approve your process. Is our process perfect? Maybe not, but it has been effective. And I even if the staff time that will be taken up isn't great, it is staff time. Even if it isn't resources, even if they aren't great, it is staff resources. I don't see this as much more than the state passing the buck again, state government, to the local communities, instead of recognizing that the state has a duty to return funds back to the local communities that it has taken away. And I see this as a way for them to avoid that. And I can't accept that. So I will vote against this. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Anyone else? Go ahead, Flores.
I have to agree with Councilman Clark. They're going to help us do what we're doing. Councilman Clark has said our staff is going to do some more work. We don't know how much, because we don't know how much work they're going to demand of us. Somebody has got to do it. I don't care if it takes 5 minutes or 5 hours. Somebody in our staff has to do it. Can we afford it? Regardless of how minuscule it might be, it all adds up. Can we afford to accept it? And for what reason would we accept it? Possibly, if we were to continue doing what we're doing with the success that we've had, we could probably franchise this out to the state for a profit. And I think I would join Mr. Clark in voting against this proposal.
But let me, Councilman Fitzpatrick, did you have your hand up real quick?
I'll defer to the manager.
Okay, yeah.
I would have to respectfully disagree with Councilman Koulouris. I feel that this is not a lot of extra work, and given the fact that we don't have a development director anymore, that it's something that we do need to do. I do talk to the developers. I talk to our staff members. I know what our staff members do, and I know what the developers are saying. I would, and they quite possibly don't say the same things to council members that they will say to city staff and city management, but I will tell you that it's very likely that a lot of the success we've had in development is in spite of some of the processes that we have. And I think that going through something like this will help us streamline those processes and make us more efficient. And to me, that's the reason behind it. One of the requirements that they talked about last week was a training that had to be attended by staff members, and that accounts for some of the staff members' time. Staff has attended that training already. They attended it last week. I have a group that is working on this project that will, more than likely, as I continue to redevelop our development department, will become the core development group. Miss Yolanda Jones is part of that group. Our city planner, Mike Faust, John Stemple, and Saginaw Future, and Mr. Mike Faust, Ms. Jones, and Mr. Miller all attended that training last week. So we're well on our way there. We do have many of the things that are in here already in our processes as well. So we have a capital improvement plan, which is one of the recommended things. So we do have a lot of it there, but I think we can refine it more. Again, and I would stress that we've had developers come in and say, your processes aren't that good. We're going to keep developing here because we're committed to the city. We like the city and we think there's good things happening, but you need to do something about your processes. So this will help us have a blueprint for that. And I believe we do have the staff there to do it, and that's what their duties will be. So I don't see it as adding to any time.
Okay, hang on. Councilman Balls, go ahead.
I'm wondering, she did say this is part of the Michigan Economic Development thing, and Mr. Finney is over that program. And I'm wondering, politically speaking, if they don't get reelected, then do you think this program is going to stay in?
It depends. You could say that about any of the state programs that are there. Prior to being in local government, I worked in consulting, and we did a lot of work with the state of Michigan. And sometimes when there are different governors, departments disappear, new departments come up. But MEDC has been pretty active and has been a department for a while. If this is an initiative that I feel is more of a staff initiative, then I think it would continue to be there, especially since it's mid-process and you have a lot of communities involved in it right now. And I think it's a good point that you bring up that this is MEDC and Mr. Finney is the head of MEDC. And I look at this as separate from our revenue sharing. I'm just as keen on the lack of revenue sharing and the decreasing of our revenues as anyone else. And I probably see it more than most people. But when we look at MEDC, they have been one of the most supportive state departments, other than the state police, for the city of Saginaw for the last few years. And they have been, I know Mr. Miller could tell you, but they have been instrumental in a lot of our new development, including the Bancroft, and providing significant funding for that project and also technical support to a lot of other businesses. So I'm glad that you brought that up for maybe trying to separate the different state departments a little bit. I think we would more go to the governor's office for our revenue sharing issues.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that if we get another governor, that they may switch the whole loop and say we're going to do something else. I'm concerned about that. You know, I'm wondering if they're just making the department bigger to, you know, put more people on the payroll to do the same thing that they've been doing or have not been doing. You know, I'm just concerned about that.
I think though, if it did, I mean, even if we signed up when we'd done the training already, if the program goes away, it goes away and we don't participate in it anymore. So we're already in the process now. If there happens to be a new governor and he doesn't have the program, then it ends. We're not out anything that we haven't already done. I don't expect we'll do too much more work on this prior to the November elections.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Fitzpatrick, you've...
I was going to ask the manager for his opinion.
Okay, so you're all set then?
Yeah, I'm all set.
And then I know Councilman Cloris.
I've got two thoughts. One is, we're already contracting with Saginaw Futures. And I don't think anybody could doubt the good that's done for the community and the area. The other is a what if. What if every community that this group solicits says we're all coming on board? Everybody comes on board. Are they going to be able to handle us all?
They approve specific communities by cycle, so they won't approve more than they could handle. And a second point to your comment, I believe Saginaw Future is one of the partners for redevelopment ready communities. They sit on the board for the group, so they are, Saginaw Future is a big supporter of this project statewide.
They are?
Yes. Isn't that, Saginaw Future is part of the board?
They have an advisory group that meets, and they've invited us to be a part of this. And since I'm at the podium, I do hear where you're coming from, Councilman Clockett. In one instance, you could look at this as a top-down, you know, the MEDC or the state government sort of validating or not validating what we're doing in our processes. And I think Tim's right, the revenue sharing is probably, I think we're all not too thrilled about that, but I think if the MEDC is trying to create jobs, we kind of hopefully separate those. In my mind, and Yolanda and I went to the training, if you forget about all of the things we've talked about so far and just look at it from a, let's review our processes, as Tim said, to when the city meets with a developer, when somebody comes to town and says, we want to spend money in your city, we want to invest, we want to create jobs, to review that process and to sort of benchmark yourselves against other communities and make sure that you're ready to receive investment is a good thing, I think, on its face. And then the second thing is about transparency in government. So having all of your applications and your permits online so that any old person, whether they're a novice business person or an experienced developer, can get the same treatment by going to the website and knowing what the process is to start a business. And I think that can help your small businesses especially, because your big name developers in town that I've come and represented here at the council, they have professionals that handle those things and they know those things. But the smaller guys like myself, we can kind of get lost in the shuffle. So transparency in government and allowing all businesses to see what the processes are, I think has a value in and of itself. And so I think those are two positive things. I do kind of hear where you're coming from the top-down perspective. You know, who is the state to come in and tell us that, you know, we need to rearrange our processes. But I think those two things outweigh maybe the point, which I think is somewhat valid. Just, again, transparency in government and benchmarking our processes and making sure we're a well-oiled machine. Because we have heard, you know, Carwatt and I were just talking, we have heard those complaints from small business and large business alike that, well, geez, we came here and we thought we only had to go to one meeting, or we didn't know that we had to talk to the fire department or the police department before we got approved. It would just help to remove some confusion if we had a process that was set up, and it seems like from the training that we went through, they had a well thought out plan, which was not necessarily driven by the MEDC, but the folks presenting at that training were developers or were economic developer agencies, and a lot of the people in attendance were just city council people from Genesee, the city of Flint, to learn about how they can better interact with developers. So that's my 2 cents.
And I'm going to go over to Mayor Pro Tem first, and then back to you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to add my comments of support for this redevelopment ready communities understanding, memorandum of understanding. You know, I go back to Cities of Promise. Governor Granholm put that on the plate across the state. 8 communities were selected. We were one. And from there, we really capitalized, maximized, and just really enhanced our relationship with the state at various levels, okay, which led us to exhaust that whole apparatus in terms of support, and we've benefited from it immensely. As a result, we have, I think, one of the best relationships in the state in terms of with HUD, MISTA, and those folks in Lansing. The mayor and I, we had a breakfast meeting with one of the key persons, Mr. Butler, James Butler, from Lansing. I mean, he's a guy that's very influential, and he praised us, the city of Saginaw, for the long-standing partnership and support in terms of how we do business. It's about strong relationships, yes, but also I think this, again, reinforces how important positioning is. Okay, as we position ourselves to benefit from the Cities of Promise, we learn a whole lot through that process, and we benefited greatly. I think this will do the same, even more. Whether which it's always common, elected officials change, you know, in terms of the focus of direction. This still puts us in a better position than we were before, and it also puts us in a position with future developers coming into the state, knowing that MEDC is behind this. You know, I know one of the first stops of many businesses and developers is the state of Michigan MEDC. So they say, hey, MEDC, what are some good redevelopment ready communities to consider? Then hey, if Saginaw's on the list, as a result of us going through this process and preparing ourselves to eliminate those barriers and refine some of the processes to inform developers of what's expected coming in, then better for us. I mean, it's a win-win, regardless of who's in office. And I know this project is endorsed by groups like the Michigan Municipal League, who, as we know, is the umbrella for all of the cities in the state of Michigan. So I think it better afford us the opportunity to attract, not repel, to attract. And we have a great track record already. So this gives us, again, another important tool in our toolbox to say, hey, here we are in Saginaw in the Great Lakes Bay region. We're ready for business. So I would support this MOU for redevelopment, and I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Clark?
Thank you. I do want to thank Mr. Miller. I certainly understand and have no objection to the idea of improving and streamlining our process. I mean, that's a good idea. I agree with that. But to me, state certification is certainly no guarantee of that streamlining, or of that improving our process if our staff, if our people aren't interested or willing or committed to doing it. Certainly, everything that I've heard today suggests to me strongly that we know what our problems are. We don't need someone from the outside to come in and tell it to us. We've been hearing it from all the people that come in and want to do business here. You yourself. We know those issues. Either A, we haven't bothered doing anything about them, meaning the certification is not going to do any better because we aren't doing anything about them, or B, we have done something about them and it will improve because we're committed to it, regardless of state certification. So the imprimatur of the state on our efforts doesn't appeal to me at all, because the state seems to me to be more interested in taking over local governments than it really is in helping. And that may sound cynical, but it's what I've seen over the last several years. Everything from the schools where they take money away and then turn around and say, well, we got to close you because you don't have the money to run. Well, there's a reason they don't have money to run, because the state's been balancing its budgets on the back of the local communities, and I'm tired of that. So at some point, if the local communities don't push back, we're going to be just an adjunct of the state. I mean, as much as I appreciate all the state police were here, if the city had been given the money that the state has taken away from us, we wouldn't need the state police. We'd have our own workforce of police. We wouldn't be relying on the state police because we'd have our 100 police officers. But our problem is the state wants to balance its budget on the back of ours. And this is just another example of them doing that, in my opinion. So it's as much as anything, it's a philosophical objection to the state not standing up to its responsibility of returning funds to the communities that need it and that they've taken it away. So will my objection, my vote against this change that? Probably not. But I would certainly hope at some point it rings loud and clear in the State House that we're fed up with what they're doing. That's what I'm after here. I am fed up with what they're doing to the local communities, the local schools. So that's where I'm coming from. If we can do it on our own, I'm perfectly all right with that. If in fact this somehow can solve our problems or solve the problem of streamlining and improving ourselves without doing it ourselves, well, wonderful. But I'd just assume do it ourselves. We've been doing it, and we can continue to do it. And a certification to me doesn't mean much if we aren't willing to do it anyway. So that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Any further questions before we call? I'll call the question here. Go ahead. One.
I do agree to some extent what Councilman Clark and Mr. Clores are saying. It's that take charge. I guess I don't want to say attitude that's fueling a recovery, but I believe, as O'Neill said, it's about relationships. I mean, if they're speaking one language and we're speaking another, I mean, that causes a problem. I mean, I think relationships are important at this point, so I think I'm supporting.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor. It's been accepted and to approve item number, give me back with that, or I'm not, with the resolution number, what number are we on, 4? 5. So, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilman Tibbs. Councilwoman Bench is absent. Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilman Coloris.
Nay.
Councilwoman Moore.
Yes.
Councilman Balls.
No.
Councilman Clark.
No.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
And Mayor Browning.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 yes and 3 no. So
Motion approved.
passes.
Okay, next order of business, Madam Clerk, is
Motions and miscellaneous business.
any miscellaneous business to come before the city council? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Been moved and supported. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed?